Hey guys, I'm back again. This is Brandon Mitchell here, founder and CEO of BrandResumes.com. Today I have a really special video for you that I'm hoping that you guys will all like. So before I get into that, for those of you who do not know me, who am I, right? Why am I talking to you today about jobs and interviews and resumes? But I'm actually a resume writer and interview coach. I've been writing resumes for over the past 5 years now throughout all industries. We've been coaching people through interviews from the pre-interview process, post-interview, what to do, understanding just the entire thing, right? Just demystifying that. And today, I want to talk to you about what to do after a job interview. So topic that comes up, you put out all these tons of applications out there, you just, you hope to get an interview, and now you got it, right? So you've done that interview, and now you're wondering what to do next. So today, I'm gonna give you two key things that you should think about, and if you implement these two things right after an interview, it can hopefully boost your chances of getting hired. Interviewing is hard, and first off, take a pat on your back for actually getting through an interview. I know they're super nerve-wracking, and at times it can be very stress-inducing, but you've done it already, you're here now, and let's get into the two things that you can do to boost your chances. And so number one, right? So this might be big news for you, but if it's not, that's also good, and that means that you may have done your research. But the first thing that you should do is send a thank you note message. I'm not telling you to tell them thank you for, just interviewing you in general, but really thank them for their time, right? You can never discount the benefit of just literally and genuinely telling someone, you know what? I really appreciate the time that you're taking out of your busy day, because they're busy, they have a 9 to 5 or a 9 to 8, right, depending on the role, and they took the time out to interview, right? They're looking for that ideal candidate, and you really want to show that you have personality, and you have empathy. And so say thank you, and what I like to do is I like to write the email in a way that really references back to the team that you'd like to be hired for, right? So be very specific, look at maybe, and while you're doing this, maybe even reference something in the interview, right? So during the interview, you spoke about a lot of different things, right? Like you probably were asked some behavioral questions where you deep dived into maybe your greatest weakness or what you did to overcome a problem. And maybe it was a great conversation. Maybe one of the things came out and it went from a really hardcore interview to, just a personal and interpersonal communications, right? Always reference a good talking point that, maybe kind of changed the interview tone a bit and maybe made it a little bit lighter. That's always great, because studies show that 1 in 10 people send thank you notes. And that's insane, right? A lot of people should do this. You would think that everybody would know to do this, but it turns out that they don't, right? So you could be one of the 10 that says, you know what, I'm gonna go above and beyond. And it's almost like a little bit of a nudge to the hiring manager or the recruiter to say, you know what, I do remember that person. Now, ideally, you would want to send the thank you note template about a few hours after your interview when they're still top in mind, right? You don't want to do it 2 days later or 3 days later when they've already interviewed tons of other candidates, right? You want to be the one who, you had an awesome interview, you're feeling really good about it, and you just want to send that, thank you note template. Now, the way that I would structure it, and don't make it too long, I'd probably put about maybe 3 or 4 sentences in there, be very specific, thank them for their time again, and make sure that everything is good. Make sure that you don't have any spelling or grammatical errors in your thank you note template, right? You want to show that not only can you interview well, but you also take the time to review your work, right? So it's like a precursor to you getting hired. So that's number one. Send a thank you note template. There's tons of free resources out there, and we actually have some thank you note templates that we, can help you out with at BrandResumes.com. Number 2, I would say add them on LinkedIn, right? So, I'm sure that you've done some searching before your interview if you were able to find them before, so that's totally fine. Look people up, kind of get a sense of who they are before you interview, which is great. If you didn't do that, that's completely fine. But if you have an interview coming up and you know who you're interviewing with, do some reconnaissance, right? Go on that LinkedIn, maybe check out their team, just to kind of give a little bit of a context to who they are, right? Photos worth a million words, literally. So if you kind of get some background or just kind of get a sense of maybe who might be recruiting you, but yeah, add them on LinkedIn, right? And when you add them on LinkedIn, maybe send them a personalized 2 or 3 sentences, again, thanking them again, because you do want to be top of mind. You want to make sure that you have the skills, and not only are you following up, but you're coming up again, right? You don't want to be the person who interviewed and just went ghost, right? If you do follow up the right way, you follow up very promptly, very professionally, you may honestly be the only one. And if you are the only one, it will just make your chances of getting hired better, right? Because ideally, you want to get hired as soon as possible. Time is money. You don't want to waste your time. But it's small things like that that you can do to kind of optimize and kind of boost your chances of landing the job. So all in all, make sure that one, you send a thank you note template. It's a must do every single job interview. I don't care if you didn't think it went well, send a follow-up interview, because you know what? Sometimes you may not think that the interview went so well, but the people who came after you, maybe they interviewed worse. You just never know. So be top of mind, send that thank you note template, and then add them on LinkedIn, right? With those two, you should hopefully, come up again. And when they are reviewing the clients and the candidates that they did interview, hopefully you land the job. So like this video. If you think these 2 tips were super helpful for you, please implement them. Give us some comments in the section below and let us know if you've landed the job. So check back with us next time. Peace.